What's up, dear viewer? Recently I was learning how to rig inside of Blender and I was experimenting with a few stuff and I found something that nobody really talks about, which is this. Getting this kind of accurate deformation on the joints without really using any kind of shape driven key. So today I'll try and show you how to do that. So let's begin. So in here I have a low poly hand to go, and I have an armature which have 3 bones that is to rig this particular hand. So there is a few settings that I want to change first. So first I'll select the armature, I'll go into edit mode, and in the edit mode I'll click on show names, which is under this tab, which is bone data tab, and I'll click on show axis. Also, as you can already see, I have set the axis position to 0.5 by default, right? Okay, so most of the time what people normally do is they select the mesh, they select the armature, they hit Ctrl P and hit automatic weights. So this method works fine, but as you can see in here I'm getting some this is some undesirable bend. What I want is I want to have some bend like this that should be considered anatomically accurate, and what I'm getting here is this. So this error gap, most of the times animators and riggers solve it via using shape driven keys, and the target of today is solving it as it is through rigs without using any kind of shape driven keys or shape keys, right? Shape driven keys, I'm using Maya terms anyways. So let me just reset the whole pose. I'll put it a little bit aside, I'll duplicate everything, right? And I'll select the mesh because at first I want to get rid of all the transformation that is being done by the armature. So I'll delete the modifiers armature, I'll delete the armature modifier for the mesh, and I'll go to this object data properties, and inside the vertex group I'll just delete everything, right? So I can start from fresh. Also, I'm just gonna apply all the transformations for now, right? So let me just hide it for a moment and let me just walk you through what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is basically for the joint itself, I'm going to use one more bone, right? Put it this side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this specific bones to drive how the elbow extends and stretch, if that makes sense. Okay, so first what I want to do is I want to go into pose mode. So what I want is I want this bone to rotate as I rotate this forearm bone, right? So what I'll do now is select the forearm bone, select the elbow bone, hit Ctrl Shift and C to open my constraints tab, and then I'll hit on copy rotation button. So there it is. You can see it's already rotated, which means it will copy the rotation of the forearm bone, right? So I'll click in here, I'll go into bone constraints. I do not want it to be aligned with the forearm, but to copy the rotation of the forearm. So for that, what I'll do is I'll just go into target and hit local space, and the owner also to local space. Now when I rotate it, you can see this thing rotates with the forearm. You can also do it by parenting it into the bone, but I like to do it by using the constraint, right? Before that, also what constraints allow me to do is it allows me to influence how much of the rotation I want to have with each degree rotation of the forearm, right? So for example, right now it's continuously following the forearm, but if I change the influence to 0.5, oh boy. So the rotation, it do not completely follows with the forearm, but it will behave in such a way how a realistic elbow might behave when you bend the arm, right? So that's one thing. For the next constraint, what I'll do is I'll select this bone, select this bone. What I want to do is with the rotation, I want to scale this area so that my elbow get influence by this bone, right? So let me just Ctrl Z it. I'll just select the forearm bone, select the elbow bone, hit Ctrl Shift and C on the keyboard, hit transformation constraint. Let me just hide the copy rotation. So this is the magic constraint right here that's gonna allow me to do that. So let's just change it to local space at first. So what this does is it's gonna it got a lot of options in here. So it's going to do is it's going to map from this bone, which is the parent bone, and it's going to map to the child bone, right? So in this example, which is set by default, it's going to map the location from the forearm bone and map it to the location of the elbow bone, right? I hope that makes sense. Let me just give you the example of what I'm going to do right now. So what I want is I want the rotation of this in the z-axis to affect the scale of this bone in the y-axis, right? So let's do that. So I'll click on this one. I want the rotation from to affect the scale to, right? So the scale is on y-axis, so the source will be the rotation of the z-axis. I'll just change the settings in here, right? So I'll just set the z max to maybe let's say 120 degrees. I guess that's how much we can realistically rotate the elbow, right? Next is what's next? Let's just okay, instead of 120, let's put it to 100. I don't want to mess it up real quick, but I can always increase or decrease the angles. But yeah, let's do it. Let the scale be on max 1.5 times of the rotation, right? So now when I rotate it in z-axis, as you can see, it's not scaling right now, but when I rotate it in the opposite axis, you can see the bone scales, right? Let me just show it to you from the top view, right? This is not what I really want. I want the bone rotation to be on this axis. So you might think if I just change the rotation to -100, it should work, but it won't, right? Because on -100, even if I put it on negative axis, you can see the bone is kind of snapping. I do not know why Blender does that. I'm pretty much new to rigging, but if you got any answer to that, let me know in the comments below. But let me show you how to fix this thing. So let's keep it at 100, a positive 100, right? Let me just reset everything. I'm going to go back into edit mode, and just for this bone itself, I'm going to change the pole angle to 180 degrees. Just to make you know, these are the pole angles, right? And sometimes they might not be aligned whenever you are creating your own bone chain. Whenever that happens, you can just select the bone, go into the bone properties, and you can change the pole angle. So for the forearm itself, I'm changing this, and since the hand continues to the forearm change, I'm also going to change that. It's not necessary to change this one, but it's a good practice because I'm changing the parent bone right now. Also, changing the pole of this one also makes me eligible to use inverse kinematics correctly following the whole chain. Okay, that's enough for that, but let me just select this one. Now when I try to rotate it, you can see it's scaling, but it's rotating in the wrong axis. So again, I'm just gonna select this one, go into tab, edit mode, and change the pole angle of this one as well. We go back to pose mode, and as you can see, this is the desirable result that I was hoping for. Now let's just unhide everything. By everything I mean just the hand mesh. Let me just adjust this real quick, right? And let me just parent it with the bone as of now. So let me hit Ctrl P with automatic weights. Let's check how the result comes up to be. As you can already see, we are getting a much better result than what we had before, right? But it can still be fixed a little bit more. As you can see, there are a little bit of wobbliness going over here. So I'll just reset everything, go into weight paint mode for the mesh, And as you can see, the weight only covers this area. This is not what I really want. I want it to cover like half of this area probably. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything, go into shape keys, and this is a bone 3. So I'm going to remove all the influence from bone 3, right? And I'm going to repaint it. Or I can just go into edit mode and, just select half of the bone and just hit assign in this one, right? And it's already getting painted. Okay, I want a little bit more influence on the sides, so I'm just gonna select this area right here. Okay, that looks good. Maybe a little bit more. Hit assign, go back into weight painting mode and hit smooth. I have assigned a shortcut for the smooth button, but where you can find smooth it, you can go to weights and hit on smooth in here. So it will Blender will just smooth out the specific vertex group that you want to smooth. A few clicks of smooth, and let me just check at it again. Try rotating it, and as you can see, the wobbliness is much better right now, and I'm getting way better deformation right now. I'll also show you the side-by-side comparison with the first one that we just did. So yeah, there it is. You can already see, and let me just apply one more subdivision onto it so that the result looks much more obvious, right? So yeah, there you have it, guys. So this is how you fix all the joint issues in rigging without really creating any kind of set driven keys or shape keys. So I hope you find this video helpful. If you do, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, share it with anyone who needs some solution like this regarding the rigging. But yeah, that's about the video, guys. Check out my other videos in the channel. I have a full course on how to make game ready haircuts. I have some sculpting videos. Do check them out, and yeah, adios.